It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Laugh.
We had a little fun, because it's a very long day, you know.
And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is The Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
All right, let's go already.
And John Nash.
Pucker up, buttercup.
With a focus on career, the consumer culture, and marketing from an LGBT point of view. We're all business, except when we're not.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is where you need to go to find all the information about the show, all the platforms we're on. And if you're tuning in on the live stream, that means you're either on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Welcome to the show. Our number here is 877-962-6846. Operators are standing by.
I want that number to be bigger.
No, trust me. On a computer screen, when people are watching live, they can see that number perfectly.
John used to have it big for me when I used to have to.
For you in studio, but then it crowds the whole picture out. So art director's taking care of it. John's on the ball.
Oh, you're art director now.
I'd already talked to John. We're controlling this. So in the booth, we have John, Garrett, and Allie. Hey, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays,
Allie
James.
has some peppermint
You're supposed to say hello, everybody.
Oh, that's right. Hello,
It's
everyone.
not hello, guys. It's not hello,
Yeah, we
boys
have
and
to-
girls. It's
no,
hello, everybody.
I'm going to be a holdout there. So let's see what we have going on today. It's the holiday show. On the desk, I brought in a prop today.
I thought I was getting a prop.
You were supposed
I
to
didn't bring one.
You were supposed to bring I was supposed to bring the snow bumble from.
Yeah, where is it?
He's upstate. He's in a box. Sorry about that.
Well, I got nothing but my notebook.
But this year, I went to see The Last Jedi last Friday, and my friend Adrian, my Star Wars buddy, gave me this really great snow globe, and it's perfect for winter because it's Luke from the movie The Empire Strikes Back hanging upside down in the cave of the Wampa. This is after he's attacked
It's
on
racist.
the planet. What do you mean it's racist?
Wampa. Isn't that a...
Can I tell you, Adrian also does the best presents. So we do like this Star Wars Day thing. For the last couple of years when a Star Wars movie comes out, we exchange gifts, and he always does better than me. And I love this thing because it's such a perfect snow globe, right? Because it's a snow planet. Oh, yeah. Jingle and the jingle.
You're going to be 80 years old and seeing Star Wars 900.
I'm a kid at heart. And we have Prosecco.
Yeah, when is that going to get opened? I saw that there. You had some for everyone in
Everyone
the booth.
They got a bottle in
They got
there.
a bottle too. I hope you pop the cork. So I'm gonna have to get through this show.
Prosecco is perfect for day drinking.
You say that. I wanted Manhattans. I talked to Garrett last week about bourbon and Manhattans. And
Hey, Manhattans are fantastic.
I love them.
Or hey, you know what I love lately? An old fashioned.
Yeah, it's a little more sugary.
Yeah, but it's a nice little alternative to just a Manhattan.
Are you making those at home?
No, I had one last night. I was out at dinner with friends. So, okay, a couple things. On the show today, we're going to be doing the last random sample of 2017. So we're going to be looking at LGBT headlines from around the U.S. and the globe, right?
The globe.
The globe, as my snow, my...
Oh, did you hear the champagne?
Whoa, boy!
Or the Prosecco.
Well, they shook it up, so it kind of went crazy in there.
Look at Garrett putting his mouth over that.
Yeah, well, you don't want to waste it. Good boy, Garrett. You don't want to waste it.
It was foamy.
I'm almost afraid to open it.
Are you gonna be able
So
to
you
put
should
it
see
off to the
Tim's
side?
face. He just like made a grimace. No, I've got my hand on it. Don't
Have
worry.
it? Don't-
Tim's
don't hit my
grimacing.
eye.
He's
Don't hit my eye.
grimacing.
No,
Oh my
no.
God. Oh, you're saved. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
What a year.
I don't know anyone who celebrates Kwanzaa. They always talk about it. Do you know anyone who celebrates Kwanzaa?
I had a Kwanzaa party last night.
You're full of S-H-I-T.
I am totally full of it. Actually, can I tell you something?
What?
Tomorrow,
Cheers.
Cheers, happy holidays to the passing of
holidays.
2017. What a year. And guys, sorry, the booth,
I
the
need
crew.
more than an eye drop.
You need a paper
Cheers,
cup?
guys.
Cheers. Thanks to everyone in the booth for helping us with the show
Everyone,
this year.
every person.
Thank you, everybody.
Person in the booth. So, tomorrow is one of my favorite days of the year. It's the winter solstice. And why is it my favorite day? It's the shortest day of the year, which means every day after that is uphill, getting longer and longer and longer until my least favorite day of the year, the longest day in June, because then it's downhill to the shortest day.
You have too much going through your brain.
I do. I'm sorry, I do.
You think. Do you ever sleep?
I get, how my brain wraps around something, and I get. So last night, my friend Lucas from my animation program, he and his beautiful fiance are in New York for the week. They're doing wedding arrangements.
Lucas Films?
Yeah, you went right. Yeah, Lucasfilm Limited, and his fiancee Stephanie were in, and we took them to dinner. They came to see the Christmas tree, Bob's sci-fi tree for me. We had a lot of fun, and they're native New Yorkers originally, so it's really fun when someone from LA comes in, and they're LA because they live there now, but they grew up here, so they're totally in sync with the city. There's no, they look great. They were going around town. They were having their wedding photos done yesterday, so that was a good way to kick it off. But I heard at one point Stephanie say to Lucas, they were talking about VW, because I think they both have driven or own them currently. But I heard her say Veronica the Passat. So she named her car, like she had a Passat years ago, and she called it Veronica. Do you know people who name their cars?
Yeah, I don't.
Tim's all-track wagon, right?
When I worked for the steel company, I drove a Buick Century.
Oh my God, a Buick Century?
It was the nicest car you could get, so I ordered a Buick Century, and its tagline was America's answer to the European road car, which was a long stretch. And
that was their tagline?
That was the tagline. The Buick Century, America's answer to the European road car. This was 1986.
Garrett's actually wiping the wall off.
So I ended up
in there.
Shot a load.
The Prosecco went. Oh my God.
So everybody called that car the answer. Let's take the answer.
The answer to...
Because it was America's answer to the European road car.
Let's drive the answer.
Let's take the answer. Should we take the answer?
That's good.
Because we all had company cars at the time. But no, and I've never since named my cars. Some people do.
I thought Veronica was a good name for a Passat. I thought if you're going to name a Passat anything, Veronica's good. Was there a Veronica on Archie, or was it on Josie and the Pussycats?
Archie.
It was Archie?
Well, it could be the other one. One of them just died. The one in Scooby-Doo, I think.
The voice actor for...
yes, so she just died. She was 71
Velma
years
or
old.
Something, or...
I zipped through on TMZ. I probably shouldn't have brought it up.
I zipped through on TMZ.
We had this when this reminds me, I used to live in Old City, and there's a Lutheran church there that has a live nativity scene. Did you see this? I think it made the national news. So they bring in livestock from Bucks County. This farm does a live nativity scene right in Center City across from the Mint. I mean, it's right in the city. And Stormy the cow doesn't like it there. So Stormy broke out. He was on 95 in the evening. They had to get the state troopers. I-95. He got loose out of his nativity scene and left baby Jesus and all behind, and then was on 95, stopped traffic. So the cops had to bring Stormy back, and Stormy broke out again. It was on the news. He was found this time on the fourth floor of the parking garage over by one of the hotels. And so they think they might take Stormy back to the farm. He
doesn't like being in the
nativity scene.
What a funny thing for the city to do, to have like a live.
Well, this church
right?
does it, and of course PETA was all in an uproar about it.
Are they being taken care of?
Yes.
Are they being fed? They're in their
farmer there taking care of them, but they were concerned about the cow being loose in the city. I get it.
That is so bizarre. All right. Before we move on, we want to thank one of our partners here for the month of December. We've been talking about it for the last 4 weeks. It's a thing called Man Grate. And Tim, what is your line? Meat is only...
It's not good enough to just have good meat.
You have to have Man Grate meat.
You have to have Man Grate meat.
So Man Grate is for your grill. And it's a grill enhancement system, so the box says. It's also good for your biceps because it is very heavy. This is one of the two in the box. They lay down and they go on any grilling surface, charcoal or gas. I think you use it on gas. The principle is pretty simple. They heat up and they conduct the heat evenly across the entire surface, thus cooking your meat better.
Yeah, it's the same concept of the famed cast iron skillet.
The famed cast iron skillet.
Well, because all of our grandparents, right, everybody had cast iron skillets because it cooked evenly and it heated up evenly. So this way, when I laugh about it, it does the sear marks on the meat or the fish or whatever you're cooking,
but
the vegetables.
Our other people.
I could care less about the sear marks, but that's another thing people like to do when they grill. I like to say it's a luxury for people. It's something that I think when you give to somebody or you get for yourself, it's a luxury that you might not spend on for yourself, but you're appreciative when you get it. And I always laugh about this. If you're watching on the videos, he's banging in a...
Yeah, the video shows...
Is that a joke?
It's a video for the Man Grate, and it shows a guy nailing a picture to a wall of steak.
I've cooked chicken. I've cooked chicken on it so far, and I've cooked some fillets on it.
You seasoned it already, though, right?
Yeah, you season it just like you would a cast iron pan. I seasoned it with oil. But there's other ways. You know, people might prefer some other things, whether it's coconut oil or some other sort of oil. I just use regular old olive
Was
oil.
it this really cool brush, which Tim wanted to use as a back brush? You'd have no skin left if you use this. This is like a serious cleaning brush, by the way.
Clean your feet with it.
And if you go to mangreat.com, they're running a 50% off sale for I think the entire month, right?
Yes. It's mangreat.com, and we already had a couple listeners that had bought some. Which,
Yeah, and thank you for, by the way, for sending when we get notes from you about things that you've sampled or tried, we love hearing how people like stuff, and we had a couple of listeners like, I got to get that Mangreat, or I've gotten Mangreat already.
Helps keep us on the tube.
On the YouTube.
Thank you, on the YouTube.
So thank you. Go to mangreat.com and start shopping. This is one of multiple sizes that I have in front of me, but they have other ones that are sometimes bigger, right, for bigger grills. This is, I think, it doesn't say on the front of the box. But
there's a couple different sets, but they're all at the website.
This set, though, is one of the most utilitarian because it's going to fit on every grill probably, and this is the one that we're using. So mangreat.com, 50% off, and thank you to them for being part of our show for the month of December. Wait. Yes. Lift it. My God, I'm going to burst my bicep.
That's the only thing I wonder about that is how much it must cost to send.
Well, the Postal Service is their new best friend for Mangreat, right? Carrying that thing around.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get the snow globe going again. Luke is suspended in the
Is that on your desk at home?
This will be I don't know where I'm going to put it at home, but I do like it because it's so perfect. The Hoth was an ice planet. It's winter. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking gibberish. This is all the Star Wars stuff. So what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
I'll tell you about this Star Wars stuff.
We know where you come down.
Will and Lori too. I would have been with Lori because so Will and Lori. Will is someone we do work with, and John and he were talking about Star Wars.
Twins.
Lori and I would go out for a cocktail while you two reminisced about the.
It's kind of like last night, Lucas and Stephanie. Lucas and I started talking about animation. Everybody just glazes over.
Yeah.
Then we have to stop and get everybody back in the conversation. Then we talk again, everybody glazes over. So it's one of those things, right?
Did you move the arm?
Yeah.
The arm.
It was literally that.
Did you use? That's why they only use 3 fingers in animation.
I did discover that Lucas is a lot like me. We were talking about the grading system and a bunch of other stuff, and Stephanie just rolls her eyes. She goes, oh boy. She goes, the grades. And then Bob's like, oh, and the two of them connected because she's an animation widow as well. Like when we're doing our work, it's hours and hours at the computer, and it's like, hey, I'm here, I'm alive. Anyway, what caught your
fun evening?
What caught your eye, sir?
So I had 2 quick things, and the headlines both caught me. The first headline was more people choose to call Uber instead of the ambulance.
This is interesting to me. This was interesting.
So so I read into it a little deeper, and then there's a couple of reasons why they think why. But this study was done over 2 years, starting in 2013. They looked at 766 U.S. cities and saw that there's been a decrease in ambulance calls. So 7 to sometimes even double that of cities with calls to ambulances. So, and they're finding out that people were taking Uber. Now, I know someone who's done this just recently. When you used to hire a messenger service to deliver something for you and they might charge you $30 or $40 or whatever, or FedEx, people are calling Uber drivers now. Hey, can you drop this off downtown? Hey, can you take this?
Oh, because it's cheaper than...
Uber ride, right? So they become delivery people. So I know that restaurants are using them now for food and stuff.
Because sometimes these trips could be $3 or $4.
Right.
As opposed to
$30 for FedEx to ship it to you overnight or something, right? Or same day. So they said that they've checked, and this study was done by the University of Kansas, said that the use of Uber in cities across the country has been reduced per capita by ambulance volume by at least 7%. They said it's likely because patients want to avoid the ambulance ride if they're not administering something. Obviously, if you had a massive heart attack, you'd want to call an ambulance, but
you're charged
something happens.
For the ride.
It's $600 is the average cost for an ambulance.
I was going to just ask you that. You're charged for the ride.
But they said the other thing that happens, another explanation they think is why people are opting for Uber is where you might call an ambulance, maybe it's not an emergency. Insurance companies are now giving you, they said insurance companies are giving you $50 gift cards not to call an ambulance.
Saves them money.
Saves the insurance companies money and everything else. So they said the new benefit actually has been reduced wait times for ambulances for legitimate, I don't want to say legitimate, but legitimate
I know what you mean,
emergency
but
calls.
Truly life-threatening,
right.
I need the equipment
in
the ambulance, yeah.
So that was the first one. The other one was,
I saw the picture for
you.
this, and
it's about a kitty cat. It was a homeless cat called Sir Whines-a-Lot.
Sir Wines.
It's a rescue kitty.
God. Okay.
I'm gonna post the video to the Facebook feed later on today. But so this guy, there's an ad agency in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's called Guru Stew. And the founder, Stu McDaniel, had adopted this homeless cat out of the shelter. And he started coming in the morning and finding, if you're watching here on YouTube, or if you're not, there's a picture of a cat with all these dollar bills.
Near a door.
Bills near a door. And it's 2 glass doors with a very thin crack.
Yeah.
So he couldn't figure out why every morning he would come in, there'd be dollar bills there. So he decided to take a look and figure out what was going on, and he saw that what was happening is the cat was kind of hanging out there, and people would go by and they wanted to play with the cat, and they were taking dollar bills and sliding them through, and the cat would play with them, bat them. The cat would bat the bill around, have fun. And the video shows the cat batting the bill around, and then all of a sudden, the cat will grab it by its teeth and rip it out of their hands. They said so fast that you don't know what happened. So the cat started collecting this money. So every day people go by and want to play with the cat, and the cat will bat it around really cute.
And then grab it.
I've watched the video. It's hilarious. And all of a sudden, it's like, so he yanks the money in, and he gets a pile of money there. So every morning they come and find this money. So they decided to set up a Facebook page for him. So Sir Wines a Lot, pseudonym is Cash Nip Kitty. And
Cash Nip.
And since he was homeless, they're donating all the money to the homeless shelter, to a homeless shelter in Tulsa. It's the Tulsa Day Center for the Homeless. His Facebook page says, "Slide $1 through the slot, and great blessings will follow." And they've already donated $100 this month to the
Animal shelter.
No, homeless shelter.
Homeless shelter. Okay.
The cat was homeless. So, because they said, what are we going to do with the money? But the cat collects coin there every day. Collects dollar bills.
Where's this at again?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love that. That is great.
He says, at first I didn't think people intended to lose their dollars. They put it in there to mess with him, but then he would snatch it. They'd hold the money there. He'd bat it around playfully. And they said all of a sudden he'd rip it from their hands. He does it so fast you don't even realize what happens.
Okay, I wonder who the first person was that decided, let's play with the cat. It's not just tapping on the glass, but I'm going to take this dollar, a piece of paper out of my wallet, and, you know, because the first one was, and then once that bill was inside the door, someone else would see it and say, I wonder if that's how, you know, if you play with the kid.
There he is there, grab. But you'll see in the video when I post it to the Facebook page.
Cats are, we're cat guys. Bob and I had cats for 17 or 18 years, and they're very different than dogs, as you know. I almost think they pick us, and they decide they want to be, and they'll decide when they want to hang out with you, and when they don't want to hang out with you. Dogs are like, me, I'm over here. But cats are funny that way, right? They'll do crazy stuff
A lot more independent.
What
caught your eye?
What caught my eye was very different, and it caught my eye because of what we do. And it's the headline reads, "The radio reporter who lost his voice but still covers Congress." So Jamie Dupree was the voice thousands of people woke up to on the Cox radio network, and he is having trouble speaking at all because he has a rare disorder making talking almost impossible. He's on Capitol Hill. He is known as a really good journalist, just gives the facts. Congressmen love to talk to him, but back in around the conventions, Dupree, he said during the primaries last year, his voice got scratchy, and by the conventions, he was off the air. This April, doctors finally, it took them months to diagnose the problem, but he has a rare condition called tongue protrusion dystonia, a neurological disorder that is so rare, there are no doctors who specialize in treating it. He's a household name down in D.C., and over the last year, he's been struggling with this illness, and he'll go to Congress, and he'll have a whiteboard with him, and a lot of the representatives and the senators and congressmen know him and like talking to him, and so one day he's in the speaker's lobby, the Speaker of the House's lobby, and there's a bunch of representatives there, and one woman comes over to him, and she shouts, she goes, "Jamie," comes right over, and he just holds up a whiteboard, and it says taxes. And she knew exactly what he meant, and she starts giving him answers to the microphone, like, I got to do this, I want to vote this way, and thanks for talking to me. But the bigger picture for him is, and he said to someone who wrote this report, you know, what does someone in this industry do when you lose your voice? You know, the future is even hard to think about. Let's be honest. There aren't a lot of options for a guy with no voice on radio. It's a very interesting thing.
Congress there is. There's nothing to report.
There's nothing to report. So it all...
who's doing the reporting on the radio then?
Well,
He can't speak.
He can, but the issue comes up when he can say individual words, but when he strings a sentence together, it's almost like his head is having trouble connecting with his tongue and his mouth. And yeah, it's an interest. It caught. Hey, look, it caught my eye, right? Without his voice, Dupree has not lost his personality. He explained, particularly some of his sense of humor. But he said, you know, he's got a great sense of humor. He goes, but one-liners are not as good or effective when you write them down.
Did he say how old he was?
I think he's 54.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that sort of case.
That's kind of, yeah, he's 54 years old.
So it just came out of nowhere.
Last, I think it was whenever the primaries were, right before the convention. So it must have been last March or April when that was going on. He had gone to Europe with his family, and there was something where he actually was, I read something about that he had an illness over there, but they don't believe it was connected. And this just started, and there's no doctors that treat it. There's not necessarily a medication because it's so rare. I mean, that's the thing that's so horrible, right? It's a rare thing.
Not me.
But currently, they're actually looking at his old archive of radio shows, and they're isolating words and phrases, and they think that, like Stephen Hawking does with a computer, that they may actually be able to, literally put together him speaking what he wants to say based on other audio from the past. It's going to be a long slog, let's put it that way, and his family has been terrific. And
go out on disability.
there was someone well, there's an interesting labor lawyer in here who said that's going to be a very fascinating thing as well, because, you know,
whether that could be a legitimate thing. Well, because that's his livelihood.
That's his livelihood, yeah. So I would say that there's and the Cox Radio Network or the Cox Network has been extremely helpful, but at some point that's going to have to change, or they're going to have to figure out how he can contribute, not necessarily speaking, but
maybe he just becomes a writer.
I related to it because, you know, that's what we do. You know, I don't often think about it, but if you lost your voice, I'd be sitting here playing with the snow globe.
Yeah, well, no, you wouldn't be able to do what you do.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that becomes a disability, right? You can't, you can no longer.
You're denied the ability, to make a living. Yeah.
Oh. Well, that was an uplifting holiday.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I should have.
Holly jolly Christmas.
I should have changed it up and picked a different one. But yeah, and Garrett just lifts the glass like, Mary, Mary. In fact, let's have some more.
Our business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So, our business birthday this week is Harvey Samuel Firestone, not Firestein.
I read that and I thought, oh, wait a minute, did I get this right? Okay.
Born December 20th, 1868, died February 7th, 1938 at 69. He was an American businessman and founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, one of the first global makers of automobile tires. He was born in Columbiana, Ohio. He graduated high school and then went off and worked for the Columbus Buggy Company in Columbus, Ohio. And he made, in 1890, making rubber tires for the carriages. And in 1900, he saw that there was a huge potential for making tires for automobiles. So he founded the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, and they were a pioneer in mass production tires. He happened to be friends with Henry Ford. How convenient. So Firestone he used his relationship to become the original equipment supplier of Ford Motor Company, and he was active in all the replacement market as well for Ford. In 1988, the company was sold to the Japanese company Bridgestone, but the Japanese call it Bridgestone. Bridgestone. So Bridgestone bought him in 1988. Firestone, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison, I think kind of an odd coupling with Edison, but they were generally considered the three leaders in American history or industry of the time, and they would often vacation together, and they were all part of the exclusive Millionaires Club.
The Millionaires Club.
Right, so Firestone, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison would vacation together. He died in 1938 of coronary thrombosis. After he died, Firestone, along with General Motors and Standard Oil, were convicted in what is known as the Great American Streetcar Scandal. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they went out and purchased streetcar systems throughout the U.S. and dismantled all of them, replacing them with buses so that they would sell more rubber and oil and engines, which is kind of sad because there's so many. Philadelphia, for instance, the streetcars, some of the tracks are still there, but they certainly don't use them like they used to. Same in a lot of other cities across the country, but it's too bad. But they do clog up the streets.
The streetcars?
Yeah. Like San Francisco.
Yeah.
Clog.
My favorite, as a kid, my favorite thing was visiting my grandparents in Pittsburgh when they still had an extensive streetcar network. I mean, I used to ride with my granddad all day on those things, go all over the city. Yeah. And it was a very efficient way to get around until the ice and snow comes and, the tracks are,
ding, ding, ding. So the main library at Princeton University is named after him. There's a bunch of things named after him. I didn't realize that university library is one of the largest in the world. He had 3 quotes, which I thought were all pretty good. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. The growth and development, which I think is smart. You get the best out of others when you get the best out of yourself. And it's only as we develop others that we permanently succeed. So he obviously must have been big in mentoring.
Which is good to hear, even though he was part of the buying up the rail car thing.
Well, no, his company was. He had been dead. So Firestone, the company was. So happy birthday, Harvey Samuel Firestone.
Excellent business birthday.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. All right, so Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and we want to thank them for a great year, and we want to thank all of you for going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the the shark logo. I don't know. I always say this, and it's like a tick. I do the pirate. It's a shark. But anyway.
Like the Pride Leprechaun.
Happy Pride. Yeah. A few months early, but bring out the Pride Leprechaun. Deep Discount has great prices and a huge library, meaning there's lots of stuff to see and do there. Not just movies and TV shows, but also vinyl, turntables, electronics, toys, books, and of course audio, I should say music stuff. So before we get to what the big release is this week, which I think is a great movie, and I'm dying to see it on Blu-ray because I wanted to see it in the theater, but I didn't. You're making a face.
No, I'm just listening.
I had 2 picks.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear them.
Okay, so they're kind of what I call quiet movies. They're really good. They're not big blockbusters, but they're good dramas. And the first one came to me from one of the marketing execs at Deep Discount, and she recommended this movie because her husband loves it. And I actually now really am a big fan after seeing it. It's called The Quiet American. It came out in 2002, based on a novel by Graham Greene, Michael Caine, and Brendan Fraser, and it takes place in 1950s Vietnam. And Michael Caine plays a British reporter who has a Vietnamese mistress. It's very like a nice little relationship they have, even though he is married and his wife is in London. Brendan Fraser plays an American who's there supposedly for providing aid to the communities. But this is right before America's involvement in the Vietnam War. So it's,
after the French and British screwed it up.
Exactly. So there's a lot of the French and British in here trying to figure out what to do, and this stuff's starting to happen. On the surface, there's 2 things happening. It's a political movie, which is a really good insight into what was going on in Vietnam prior to our involvement. And on the second level, it's this love triangle that's rather fascinating because Michael Caine's an older man, Brendan Fraser's younger.
Do you have them both?
She ends up, she
has a relationship with both of them.
Yes. And at one point, Michael Caine recedes, meaning he's not the primary person. But he's always there, and he loves her a great deal. So I was actually surprised by how the movie stuck with me after seeing it. I think it's a really good movie. So it's called The Quiet American. And my other one was a small science fiction movie. Came out. It stars John Hamm of Mad Men fame. Mm-hmm. And it's called Margery Prime. It was in the festival circuit. It came out for a little while. Deep Discount has it, which I'm really pleased to see. It's on Blu-ray. And it's a movie about an older woman who, it's in the not too distant future, but her children give her a electronic companion hologram that basically looks like her husband from when her husband was like in his early 40s, and this hologram starts telling her life story, and so it's a very fascinating look at her relationship to this image of her husband from many years ago who's passed away, telling her things that have happened in her life, and some of the stuff she doesn't want to hear. But anyway, it's a fascinating, well-done movie. Tim Robbins is in it as well, and I highly recommend it.
Who wants to revisit the past?
That's you just nailed it. That's almost the whole...
You love these dystopic...
This whole point of...
The future doesn't look good to me when I hear...
Well, this was a nice gesture that the kids did for the mother, but it turns out that you're exactly right. Because she starts hearing things that are factual But she doesn't have a memory of how it went down. Is this how it really was? And do I really want to hear
Is
this?
there a day in your life you would want to live over again?
Just for the sheer living it over again? You just like repeating everything I did like a Groundhog Day?
Yeah, could you pick a day?
Oh, I could pick a couple, yeah.
All right.
There have been a lot of fun days, and I'm not dystopic. It's a good story. It's a good movie.
Well, of course, my two can't be any different. I picked, these are both DVDs. The first one, and I picked them differently. I know you love the movies and you have a great movie library, and I have a okay movie library, but weird movie library probably. But whenever I use Deep Discount or pick anything from there, I always get stuff that I probably can't find on YouTube
or other
I can't get other places sometimes.
Yeah.
And this one popped out at me, and this was under the last minute gift ideas, but it popped up, the Midnight Special. Do you remember that?
The Midnight Special.
So this is a 6 discs on DVD. You save up to 80% right now.
So it was a show?
Right. So it used to be $60. It's now down to about $12. And this was way before MTV. So every Friday night from 1972.
Wait a minute.
So from 1972 to 1981, the Midnight Special would feature all these artists live on TV. So it was live concerts essentially. And then they would also pepper it with comedians such as Richard Pryor, Andrew Kaufman, Steve Martin, Freddie Prinze, Flip Wilson, so-and-so. But it was a really groundbreaking show. It was all the biggest stars at the time. It was on 1 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday nights. I remember it coming on as a kid. And I was just looking at the list, and I'll just hit it briefly. But everything from AC/DC, Aerosmith, Earth, Wind & Fire, ELO, The Cars, Fleetwood Mac, Heart, Helen Reddy, Jim Croce, John Denver, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Steely Dan.
These are all the biggest bands.
REO Speedwagon, Doobie Brothers, Tom Petty, Village People, Eddie Money. So they were these live
Midnight
concerts.
Special.
It's called the Midnight Special, and they have all of the concerts and all of the comedians they put in this 6-disc set. And I couldn't believe the price. It's $11.70 right now. It's a great price. It retails for about $60.
$11?
$11. You save 80% right now. It's a DVD format, but so this is the sort of thing where if you wanted to see Fleetwood Mac live or the Cars live or what they were like live in the 70s.
What a great idea. It's like Adrian in my Star Wars gift. I'm being outdone. You claim that you don't know movies.
Well, this is not a movie. I mean, this was a TV,
but you claim,
thing.
but you're media savvy in a way that I'm sort of not.
And the other thing I did, because I get in trouble sometimes for not following the rules of picking out of deep discount, because I sometimes don't go to the exact link.
Yeah.
So I made sure I went to the last minute gift idea link for British. I went under British.
What did you get?
Absolutely fabulous. Absolutely all of it on DVD. I had lent this to somebody and never got it back. But so this is this you get almost half. It's about 44% off.
It's all seasons of AbFab?
It came out in 2013. I'll just if you're friends of Patsy and Eddie and Absolutely Fabulous, it's a great gift. Contains all 5 seasons, specials, loads of, they say, lovely bonus features. Exclusive interviews with some of the stars. It's a special DVD collection. It's also all been remastered, so they said it looks more fabulous than ever. So the shows have been remastered. If you can believe it was 20 years since it came out. And they also said it comes in an iguana skin clutch bag, complete with an animal print metallic liner, is kind of the gift offering. So, but it's the Absolutely Fabulous 20, and it's called Absolutely Fabulous, absolutely all of it on DVD. And it's spendy, but it's a good gift for somebody, I think.
It's not that spendy considering it's
what you get.
Remastered and you get all of it, which is fantastic.
But it's one of those things where I'm going to get this only because mine disappeared. It's like my Grey Gardens. I loaned Grey Gardens to people.
Oh, did you?
They don't get it back. Same with my Dominic Dunn books, I've noticed. I loan Dominic Dunn books to people. They never come back. So anyway, if we want, then what's our new release?
The new release this week is the movie Dunkirk, directed by Christopher Nolan, who I like a great deal, and it stars Tom Hardy and Kenneth Branagh, and Mark Rylance is the co-star. And it's about the British battle at Dunkirk, and for it's World War II. And this kind of dovetails into the movie that's coming out now with that's in theaters with Gary Oldman, who plays Winston Churchill. Yeah, Dunkirk was a real huge turning point. So I think it's a wonderful movie. This is one I did not see in the theaters that I would definitely buy and want to see on Blu-ray because it's going to sparkle.
I wonder when they're going to stop making World War II movies. There's also but I think there's so many other things they haven't explored about. It's usually the U.S., the British, the Germans. We don't get the Russians all that much but there were Canadian troops, there were Australian troops, and you think, I wonder I wonder if they'll start, broadening.
Such a great question, because it was a world
war.
conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just that there was a pocket here and it was the world was engulfed in this war.
Like our
effort.
Normandy invasion was huge for America, but just up on either side there were Canadians who landed and Australians. It was
It's true.
There's all those stories as well. So recap.
We're going to recap our deep discount.
Few things you recommended.
I picked a movie called The Quiet American, recommended to me by one of our great marketing execs at Deep Discount. It is a very good movie. I like it. Margery Prime, which is a small sci-fi movie starring John Hamm. That's on Blu-ray.
And I picked the Midnight Special, 6 discs on DVD, which is all the live concerts
cool.
before MTV, I call it.
Sounds cool.
Cool thing. And then Absolutely Fabulous, absolutely all of it on DVD, all the seasons and all the specials.
And the release of this week is Dunkirk on Blu-ray. Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
That's a good deep discount. We're going to take a super quick break. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do our last random sample of the year, where John and I cover some headlines that you may have missed or that we'll explore a little more. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more.
Aside from a lot of the talk here at Out and Equal, and this is an LGBTQ convention, is obviously around the gay and lesbian employees and so forth. But in your role, what other areas of diversity or inclusion or does it encompass? Is it women? Is it?
It's everyone. It is interesting. My role over the years has really grown. Initially we're focusing on women and the LGBT community and people of color as this, sort of umbrella for every ethnic minority. But over the years, it's come to be about veterans. It's come to be about, we have in our company a very German-American thing happening. So cultural diversity. Why are you laughing?
Ich bin Hans.
Yes.
My name is John.
I can't
Tim in
even
German?
do that.
I don't know.
Tim in German? Is there a German name?
I've worked there 24 years and I speak not one word of German. Go figure. But for us, it really is about every individual is coming into the workplace. And now we have this generational divide that's happening. And, my generation, which is Generation X, is kind of just sitting in the middle going, what's wrong with you people? Because it's the boomers and the millennials fighting it out right now, right? But so that's an issue. And it really is about every person who shows up in your workplace comes with a worldview. They come with a background and experience, and we
cultural, and that's what you would say. Worldview would be the cultural view of the whole thing, right?
Yes. And so where before it was like, well, let's count how many women we have, and let's count how many people of color we have, and let's count. It's less about that now and more about how are we creating an environment, what we call a culture of inclusion, right?
Yep.
Where no matter what it is that you come to the workplace with, you can find an embracing and welcoming place to put your talent to use and feel like you are contributing to the success of the organization. So the definition of diversity just keeps expanding.
Which I guess is
Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Bestseller.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. It's our holiday show. FocusGroupRadio.com is the only site you need to know to visit for all the information about where to find our live stream, which is Facebook and YouTube. And our audio is on a bunch of different platforms as well. And if you're there, by all means, click on the Deep Discount logo and do some shopping. That was Mashelle Williams in our little break, who's head of diversity at VW, talking about the expansion of that term. So it's random sample time. And Tim and I each pick 3 stories from a select list of publications. I love the picture you chose. If you happen to be watching the video feed, Tim's got dice on the table. Dice! Like random. I'm almost saying LA, Vegas, but
Vegas? Yeah.
Vegas. Dice
Random
games,
sample.
Craps.
You ever play craps? No.
What was the blackjack is the game that you win at? Like people can win at blackjack, right?
I thought craps had the best odds, though.
Craps
would know. Allie in the booth would know that.
Well, I think these guys are they know the game.
Yeah, blackjack has the best. It's still not in your favor, but has the best ones.
I thought craps was the best. No.
No, craps. There's so many bets on craps too. It depends on how you play.
Red or blue? I mean, red or black?
That's roulette.
No, don't you put the things on a red thing or a black thing?
No, you could do pass or fail.
Oh, I should not go.
That's why Tim doesn't play. Yeah.
I do the slots.
You can win a lot with a little with craps if you get lucky.
Could win a lot with a little. Okay, that's
like blackjack. You could only double your bet, really. But craps, you could win like 10 times your bet or 20 times.
I can't count quick enough for blackjack.
No, I'm not. I don't have.
Like
I don't have
10,
a head
11,
for gambling.
12, 13.
There you go. I don't have a head for gambling. I don't have a head for gambling.
Well,
it's lots. Ding, 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 ding. You know.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I have dreams of winning, but.
Oh my God! I had a friend. The first time we ever. I think I've said this before. The first time we went to Vegas, he's sitting across the aisle from me, and he's got a piece of paper and a pencil, and he's writing all these numbers down. And he was planning on all the debts he was going to pay off from what he was going to win at the tables in Vegas. I'm like, and then you're flying over Vegas, and it's this massive, brightly lit city. Like I said, no one went. No one
paying for all
No one
that.
built this place on you winning. What
did our friend Steve say? The house always wins.
House always wins. Yeah. All right. So what's your first random sample?
I think you go first.
I go first. I'm sorry.
Yeah. According to the deck, unless you change the big.
No, this is from a publication called The Pride LA, and it was a fun story about a business. It's called LA-based Sharp Suiting offers gender neutral apparel. So
J. Crew.
Isn't that J. Crew?
Listen, they ruined that brand.
This is an organization. Sharp Suiting is run by Leon Wu, whose approach to suiting is nothing short of revolutionary. And so what he does is, so let's say you're a same-sex couple and you want to get dressed for a wedding or something. And with some women want to wear like suits, or they want to look a little more formal. But what are you going to do? Like if you're
that's not gender neutral.
No.
On the left on the lace.
Yeah, and that's like a beautiful dress she's wearing, and her partner or her soon-to-be wife.
It looks like Billie Jean King, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, I thought that when I saw that. So they opened in 2013, and Sharp has collected 4,000 plus body metrics from over 250 clients, both women and men, and has developed a revolutionary new gender sizing standard. I went to the website. It's very fascinating how you have to answer a bunch of questions.
Buy boys' clothes or no? It's just
yes, most certainly slacks, shirts, the whole bit. But the key here is that Sharp tailors the clothing to your body.
Oh.
So it's not the question of is it a men's suit coat or whatever. It looks correct on you. And so if you're like, let's say you're a lesbian couple and you want to wear like a tux, it's fitted, it looks great. So this guy, the Leon Wu, says for hundreds of years, tailors around the world have used anthropometrics, the study of human measurement, to design clothing for men and women, clearly delineating between the two. The Sharp method developed something called andropometrics, our patent way of measuring the body to create a more masculine or feminine silhouette reflecting your style and identity. I just thought it was kind of cool because let's say a woman does want to wear a tuxedo. Unless you find a woman's tuxedo.
Yeah.
You got to go with a men's, and it's not going to look the same, right?
It reminds me of one of my first trips to San Francisco. Pam and Nancy we went to that gay and lesbian, the frame. What the hell was it called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'll remember in a minute.
Yeah, there's a frame line or something.
Mm-hmm. It was a film festival.
Gay and lesbian film festival, and we went to a lesbian bar, and I couldn't believe how many men were there.
Because they were all
cute men, and they were all wearing khakis and Oxford shirts, but all wore their hair. Remember that kid at Saved by the Bell, that Scott Thompson, the tall blonde? Yeah. And they all looked like that. And I said to Pam and Nancy, I said, I'm really surprised about all the men here. They said, where? I said, here at the bar.
Pam and Nancy, where?
Where? And they're like, those are not men, those are women. I said, oh my gosh, I had no idea. But they were all in very much the khakis and an Oxford and the haircut and the whole deal. So that's what that reminds me of a little bit. But so gender neutral clothing.
That makes you look good. You could
so
choose,
it fits you correctly.
And you could choose to be styled more in a masculine way in terms of a suit coat or something. But I think it's because it fits so well. It's bespoke. It's a tailoring thing.
Where'd you find that?
I was in the Pride LA. Because I think the store has been open for a while, and they're like celebrating an anniversary or something.
Mine came from the Dallas Voice, my first one. And this is almost a PSA, public service announcement. The headline was 3 attacked and Grindr hookups. So we've talked about this. You and I have talked about this a number of times about being careful. And if you're on one of these apps, I don't care if you're gay or straight, going to somebody's house unbeknownst at 1 in the morning is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Alone.
Well, it's a whole trust issue, isn't it? Like there's a lot of trust we place that whoever is representing.
It's different meeting somebody at a bar and you can introduce them to your friends, or people can say,
either,
"Oh,
but at least it's face to face.
Stay away from this." Right? Somebody gets a look at them, but just randomly showing up at somebody's house, I don't know. So. This is from the Dallas police. They sent out some. This was on December 12th, so not that long ago. At 12:30 a.m., 4 victims were lured to a vacant apartment and were robbed and beaten. All 4 victims had been using the dating app Grindr to communicate with the suspect. Now, the dumb suspect obviously gets caught because the police were able to track it.
Okay.
So they were able to. It was a 17-year-old male, and he's in custody. And there were, previous to that, on the 7th, there were 5 other robberies. And they're trying to see whether this guy was involved in there. They're not sure because they've actually tracked it and found different people involved. So they said the investigations are ongoing. And then the police have put out this tip to the LGBT community in Dallas, and it said, please consider these tips when meeting somebody using the dating apps. And it says, when meeting in surrounding cities that may be unfamiliar to you, always do research for a safe meeting place. Familiarize yourself with the area. Meet in a well-lit public place.
I was going to say like a hotel lounge. Or
don't go alone. Well, I don't know about that at 1 in the morning. What are you looking for? You're not networking.
I didn't think about that. Like, you're right. I'm thinking like 7 at night.
Meet during the day. Keep your cell phone close by, ready to call 911. I one time was somewhere, and I had already hit 911 in.
And you were waiting to hit?
I just had to hit because I was not comfortable where I was. It wasn't a sex thing, just a dodgy part of Philly. Never
just a dodgy part of Philly. Okay, good.
Never give out personal or financial information. Always let somebody know, a friend or associate, let them know that you're going to meet somebody, and leave right away if you're uncomfortable. So anyway,
can I add an additional?
These things come in all the time. What?
Can I add an additional that I thought you might talk about? So Grindr actually is allowing users in other countries to change the icon that displays on their phone for the app to keep them protected from people saying, "Oh, you have Grindr on your phone." You know, like if a really a rabidly anti-gay country like a Russia or something, they're allowing people to actually customize the icon so it doesn't look like the Grindr icon. So if somebody has your phone, they don't know that you're using it.
That's smart. I didn't read further. There was also a headline attached to this that apparently Eminem. I don't like him. The raps. He apparently finds dates on Grindr.
He jokingly said that. Okay. So in the interview, he talks about how Tinder was his primary way to find. He goes, his word was chicks. He goes, I usually find chicks on Tinder. He goes, sometimes a strip club. He goes, maybe even Grindr. And that was like a toss-away line.
I wouldn't be surprised if he uses the Grindr.
Yeah.
Would you?
Eminem?
Yeah. Get a bro job.
Let's take it back. All part of 2017, the bro job,
You're
right?
the bro job. What was your second one?
My second one is a very short one, and it's a funny one. It comes from Art Basel in Miami, big contemporary art show, and the headline read, Punk Hillary Clinton got an art show shut down after a bomb-sniffing dog raised suspicions. And so that portrait of Hillary was being displayed along with the Trump, which I love, the Trump one with the hat and the
ace.
It's called Pimp. What's it called? Trump Pimp. Yeah. So when the crate arrived that contained her painting, this this dog went kind of crazy, and they had to unpack it and scan they put it through an X-ray machine. It was fine. Dog was okay with the Trump Pimp picture, which I think is kind of funny, actually, with that zebra, the pink and black zebra, and the dollar sign, the big thing. It's contemporary art. The works were created by Orlando-based artist Scott Shidley and were listed at $4,000 each and sold to a single collector.
Would you buy one of those? 4,000?
No.
Maybe 400.
It reminds me of the time you and I were in West Hollywood after the IGLTA convention, and we went by this store, and you did get a picture.
Bought 2 of them.
And they were very cheap, though.
Elect Hillary and transgender.
Yeah, and there were these really
$20
simplistic paintings.
Love them.
Remember, we laughed so hard outside that store.
Richard took the one down that was hanging at the beach.
Oh, okay.
I had it in the bathroom.
So they asked the gallery owner at Art Basel why they thought the dog, was suspicious of the painting, and he said, I have no idea. He goes, my thoughts perhaps, maybe it's a Republican bomb-sniffing dog.
Smell pussy.
So that's number 2. It's really simple,
My second one is also a happy thought. It's a gay man is allotted $500 in anti-bias case.
I saw that, yeah.
So this guy, unfortunate name, Mark Seaman, he was left the airport in a taxi. There he is there. There's Mark. So Mark Seaman, he contacted the Philadelphia Commission on Human Relations. He got a taxi, and he and his boyfriend were in there in 2010, and they got ejected from the cab because he had reached down and tapped his partner or his boyfriend's hand and gave him a kiss on the forehead. And so they were ejected.
The driver didn't like that.
They were ejected from the cab. The cabbie said, "You can't do this," and told us to get out. And they said we were shoved out of the cab, and he sped away with the door still open. So they were able to track down the driver in 2010, also an unfortunate name, Abdul Gaydar. Tash.
Wait a minute.
Well, I'll spell it for you. Abdulghadar. Gaydar.
Gaydar. Yeah.
So Seaman and Gaydar, as I read it.
As the crow flies, that's how Tim reads it.
So okay. Abdul Gaydar, whatever, was given a fine for $100 by the parking authority for just, for kicking someone out of the cab. Not allowed to do it. So Seaman tried to sue the taxi company. He thought they should be held accountable. The taxi company said no. We just contract drivers. So the Philadelphia Commission for Human Rights said, no, the fact that he has Philadelphia taxi emblazoned all over his car, you are in fact liable here as well. So it took them 8 years or 7 years, but eventually they fined the taxi company, Philadelphia Taxi, $500 as well. So he said it wasn't about the money, Seaman said. He said it was more that...
about Gaydar.
It was, well, he said I was lucky that it happened in Philadelphia where I could avail myself to the Human Relations Commission. I encourage anyone who suffers discrimination of any form to do the same, but you need to be patient. They said just because you're a visitor to a city doesn't mean that you don't have to adhere to the Fair Practices Ordinance of Philadelphia for both its LGBTQ residents and visitors, which are protected from discrimination in places of public accommodation, which include taxi services.
Taxis. Excellent. That's a good one.
Yeah. Did you get thrown out? What would you do if you got thrown out of a cab for kissing Bob goodbye?
I don't really know. I'd freeze up. I might not do anything. Do
you ever think about it when you say hello or goodbye to somebody when you're...
Oh, yeah. No, I do think about it, which is actually a shame to say that, to be frank. I mean, why would I have to think about this? But you do. And it's a situational awareness I think a lot of gay people have.
Yeah.
Because regardless of the level of acceptance, there's going to be one or two people that just have no patience or whatever, or don't accept it, and they're going to do something. Total sidebar, I was shopping with my sister when she was going to give birth to my first niece. She was like 3 or 4 months pregnant, and I was going to buy her a stroller. I think I mentioned this to you. We were in G-Fox, old, defunct, right, at the Waterbury. It was Naugatuck Valley Mall with the water wheels, the water features in the mall that always smelled like old water.
Like gristmill.
They stunk, yeah. Like what? Like
it's a gristmill.
Gristmill, yeah. And I'm just standing with her and my mom at a display of these baby, these push things. And this guy and his girlfriend walk by, and the guy just looks at me, and he just looks right at me, and there was a gap in conversation, and I'm not doing anything except looking at the price tag on something. He just goes, faggot. And my sister froze, my mother froze, the girl takes his hand, and they just walk away. I'm like, wow, you're hooked up to such a nice guy. And Laura was like, oh my God, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, but, just so you know, this is not an uncommon occurrence.
Yeah. Why do you think that happened? Were you camping it up?
Nope. I just, he decided that that's what he saw in me. And it bothered me for a while. And honestly, I was embarrassed for my sister and my mother to have to hear that. It was a weird, it stuck with me for quite a while. And it stuck with my sister, too. She was very, very upset about that.
Yeah.
In that spirit.
Merry Christmas.
Well, it's random sample. It's headlines that catch our eye, right? Kansas is our next destination, and the headline reads, "Conservatives freaked out over a student's rainbow, so his school ended a tradition." For several years, seniors at Marion High School in rural Kansas have been allowed to paint a parking spot, and they can choose a design that expresses themselves. Logan Wayner, 17, painted a rainbow flag. I mostly chose to paint the flag because it's simple enough. I'm a horrible artist. It describes me well enough. It just felt right. So it's a rainbow spot. The paint wasn't even dry before complaints started coming into the school. In previous years, Confederate flags have been painted. Bible verses have been painted. Make America Great Again. No one complains about those, but the rainbow flag got everybody riled up. The controversy went all the way up to the Marion County School Board. And some guy, what's his name here? Chuck Seifert. He would park his car over that spot to hide the flag so that people didn't get offended by it. Just so you all know, he starts going to school board meetings. And he says, just so you all know, I'm going to be here at school board meetings until I hear you have done something to that. Seifert said, I think it needs to be done. It's bad enough we have to see it on TV every night. I'm sorry, folks. I don't see this on TV every night. I don't know what kind of TV he's watching, right? I don't see this on TV every night. I don't know why we don't stand up. I don't know why somewhere we don't stand up to the lowest form of government here, not demeaning anybody, but this is the lowest form of government in our country is the school board. I would argue there's other lower forms. Somewheres we got to, they did it on purpose. Somewheres we got to stand up. Anyways, they've taken us over, and if we don't stand up, we're almost a socialist nation now, and it's getting worse every day. So the crackpot actually wins. He keeps going to this thing. The Westboro Church comes in.
Oh, of course they did.
Protest this senior painting a rainbow on a parking spot. Does it get more inane than this, right? So the board finally voted to stop the practice, and that they're not going to do it for nobody. No one can paint the spot anymore. Yeah. And the young man has not been blamed for the decision. The school board has, but like, how crazy is that, right? 2017, folks. 2017, and we're arguing about a rainbow flag.
I always am thankful that we grew up in New England with the whole "don't tread on me" sometimes. I know they say it's a liberal bastion, but
it's a polite liberal bastion, I'll say.
It doesn't do anything for you, so why are you bothering? My third one, and this actually Matthew, our friend Matt, turned me on to this. I saw it. I don't know why I didn't pay attention to it. It's been everywhere. It's been in Time Magazine. It's been in CNN. New Christmas book depicts Black Santa and his husband. So this is books called Santa's Husband.
I had not seen this in the deck. You had added this after okay.
So I said, yes, Virginia, there is a gay Santa. So have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. So Santa has left Mrs. Claus for a Mr. in the new children's book Santa's Husband. This came out in October. And in which a black Santa is married to a white Mr. Claus. So it's written by Late Show. With Stephen Colbert writer Daniel Kibblesmith. The book debuted, as I said, in October. It shows an interracial couple living their lives in the North Pole, vacationing on the beach, getting married, and working together to prepare for the Christmas season.
Oh, no.
The idea of the book came when Kibblesmith and his wife decided that when they had children, they were going to tell them that Santa Claus was black. So if they ever saw a white Santa at the mall or something, they would tell the kids that that was Santa's husband.
Okay.
I don't know why. So
I don't know why.
He said the book was inspired in part by Megyn Kelly's comment on her Fox News show in 2013 when she vehemently said that Santa was white in response to an article claiming that Santa shouldn't be white because it excludes non-white children. So he said the response to the book has been overwhelmingly either positive or negative, nothing in between. People either love it or they hate it.
Are you surprised that it's a polarizing topic?
No, I'm not surprised. And so I looked at some of the reviews, and most people questioned why change the character of Santa. Why not just be more creative and create a new story and leave the legend alone? You know, leave the legend of Santa alone. Some guy writes here, I'm a gay man, and honestly, the book is pretty patronizing and obviously meant to take two sweet things, the image of Santa and the love between two adults, and use them as a political tool and polarize people. He says, I'm a little disgusted that the authors obviously used homosexuality as a political weapon to make a political statement under the cover of a children's book. On a positive note, the art's done well.
On a positive note, the art's done well.
My favorite response was, this book is a modern-era college campus, politically correct pamphlet solely intended to spite a decent, fun-loving, time-tested tradition. If the author really wants to be provocative, he should have done it like a champion. Put gay black Santa in a wheelchair and replace his reindeer with Toyota Priuses.
The Toyota Prius.
And then there were some positive people. So an African-American person wrote that they thought it was good because their child could see that there was a black Santa. And most people that were positive about it said they thought it was a great way to introduce the issues of race and gender and acceptance to young children. I don't know whether you believe that or not. What do you think of the I think it's a little ridiculous.
Can I just say, I'll say my critique of that this way. It would never cross my mind. It's just one of those fables that I don't really, think about it. It's Santa and Mrs. Claus, and there's the elves and the workshop. And the minute you hit a certain age, it's all bunk. So why would you worry about it?
Yeah.
I see what's behind it. I get that. But I don't know that it was a necessary thing.
Well, and they say the other part that I washed over was that, so when they show Santa is black and he's overweight, he's got a white bearded jolly fellow that you think is Santa is really the husband. And they said that in addition to chores around the North Pole, they feed Rudolph organic produce, keep his nose shiny, and negotiate labor contracts and disputes with the elves.
But the elves don't have contracts. They want to work there because they want to work there. They're elves.
Downtime, they play with their dog on the beach, they dance and they garden, they nap on the couch. Merry Christmas.
What a random sample.
So that was the random sample there. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, John and I are going to finish up and have a little holiday chair and a little holiday chatter. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Now back to the Focus Group with Tim and John.
Because he has a lot of chutzpah.
An entertaining look at the world of business.
Heads are spinning, heads are spinning.
Listen, laugh, and learn.
I am not gay. I never have been gay.
That's my voice.
Oh, Sarah Palin. There's some tragedy up in the Palin family. I saw that Trek Palin was domestic violence or something.
Beat down the father.
Yeah. Over a vehicle, something like that.
Blaming Obama.
Oh, I wouldn't even be the least bit surprised about that.
What is
Post-traumatic stress syndrome from the Iraq War. Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett and John Nash. FocusGroupRadio.com is the site where everything you need to know about the show is hosted. We're going to wrap up our holiday show, and we've been having Prosecco. We have our Star Wars. Sorry, I have the Star Wars Hoth snow globe. Lucas
I was promised an item for my desk, and you did not bring it. And had I known, I'd have brought up my own little item.
There you go. The year is careening off course on a sour.
I was supposed to have a little tree, I was told. It was a whole good little bottle.
Yeah.
What happened to all this stuff?
Well, it was a big bag.
And where is it?
Well, I had a lot of bags today, and I'm like, I'm not going to carry this stuff around.
You're really you are a Grinch.
I'm not a Grinch. Look at our set. We're surrounded by gifts and trees. And
are we going to do a new set for the new year?
Yes, we are. We are definitely doing a new set. And in fact, I have to get that in motion with some style boards I have to send to the woman who's going to do that. So we had Don from Alabama on the phone, I think, right? Hey, Don.
Hi, guys.
Oh, Don. We're sliding into the last part of the year. Tomorrow is my favorite day of the year, the shortest day, because after that it's all uphill. So what can we do for you, sir?
Well, I was actually going to call you and give you this day in space history, and then you careened off into something that I had to actually write a paper about in college about the adoption of religious iconography into modern-day advertising and how Coca-Cola had taken the Clement Clark Moore poem of The Visit from St. Nicholas to create the modern concept of Santa Claus. So he's already an advertising construct. It's not real, people.
He's already, I love the way you said that. He's already an advertising construct.
Santa Claus?
Yeah.
What do you think of the Santa book, the interracial Santa book, the gay interracial Santa book?
It's no different than the Coca-Cola Santa trays. It's just another concept of an adaptation of, again, an old religious icon that was used for a specific marketing purpose, or in this case, a particular ideology purpose. There is a St. Nicholas. There is no religious Santa Claus. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right, Don. In fact,
it's an advertising construct created by Coca-Cola. You want to see the best example of this? There's an entire exhibit at the Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta that talks about how we got Santa Claus.
How do you live in Alabama?
The bus on the way to Florida broke down.
I can't imagine you have any friends in Alabama.
So
unless it's a small enclave.
So Don, what was your day in space history today?
Yesterday was the return landing of Apollo 17, which was the longest amount of time spent by a human being on another planet, or another celestial body. They spent almost 72 straight hours, or 75 hours, on the lunar surface. And no human being has spent more time on another body, and for the foreseeable future, no one's going back.
Don, was that Cernan's mission?
Yeah. Gene Cernan was on there. Ron Evans was a command module, and Harrison Smith.
Wow.
Didn't Trump announce we were going back to the moon?
Yeah, and then he cut the budget.
Yeah, so he wants us to get there with paper clips and rubber bands.
What are we going to do when we get there?
Well, we're going to make America great again, Tim. When we get to the moon, we're going to make America great again from the moon.
And Don, I did think about you. Did you see that Pentagon tape that was released about the UFOs, the guys in San Diego?
The 40-foot Tic Tac?
Yeah. What do you? I mean, just as a layman, somebody like myself who doesn't know much about it, what do you think?
As a guy who used to work for special projects, I will tell you that there are a lot of aircraft that I know about that were identified as UFOs in the mid and late 90s.
Do you think it's just like the Russians or the Chinese, or do you really think it's something from outside of our understanding?
I would say there's a 90% probability that it's a prototype aircraft or prototype unmanned aerial vehicle of some type that they accidentally stumbled upon. I think there's a very narrow chance that it's an outside margin, and you can have a whole long conversation about the statistical probability of an advanced civilization finding us anything other than an odd curiosity.
Right.
Yeah, and Don, it would have to be a really super advanced civilization that clearly understood the physics of the universe better than we do, because currently light speed is the speed limit. And to get anywhere, it's going to take hundreds of years. So it's not like they could just get in the ship and zip over to good old planet Earth.
Yeah, but I would remind you that before the sound barrier was broken, it was a common medical myth that once the human body hit the speed of sound, it would liquefy.
You're right about that.
That much velocity would kill a human being.
You're right about that. So barriers are meant to be broken.
Another happy holiday thought.
But Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Don, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, and thanks for being a part of the show.
So when you watch these Star Wars movies, does you think about that?
Oh, it's sci-fi. It's fantasy. Yeah, it's a way of telling a story that allows you to be not part of your reality, and it can make a point about something going on because it's not,
Whereas you take real life, and dissect it too much. I dissect these movies too much.
Yeah, and I think
so that's the yin and yang.
I wonder if
I could care less about what's going on in but you dissect.
I wonder if my resolution for the new year is to try to be a little less when it comes to real life stuff, because you and I talk every day. We do our conference calls, and lately there's been things that I've been like going crazy with, and I'm just like, it's been an interesting year as we wrap up the holiday show. It's been a very interesting year. We sat at these desks back in November of last year when Trump was elected, and we both said he's a businessman. This is going to be
wait and see.
It's going to be fine. He's going to bring talented people on board. I think the reality is somewhat different, and it's a reality that's different depending on how you voted and how you see the man. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at a CNN poll that says 56 or 60% of Americans disapprove of his performance in office. Then you look at the Republicans, 85% approve. I mean, it's so all over the map. But I think as someone in the LGBT community, I was not expecting to be back in the position of having a target on my back. So that case with the master cake thing goes before the Supreme Court. And normally the government would stand on the side of the community. But no, they were standing on the side of the cake thing. And I think the cake thing is an entirely... you and I have talked about this before. It's emblematic of something, but at the very core of it, it's like, God,
It was like when blacks weren't allowed to sit at the lunch counter.
Yeah.
It wasn't about sitting at the lunch counter.
It wasn't about.
This isn't about making a cake.
No.
Right. So, well, John, I want to. We also want to. I guess we can announce we're going to be doing a.
we're
going to be adding a podcast in the new year as well. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Next week, we're going to have original content. John and I did a long sit down with Kelly McDonald, and she's a marketing expert and one of the top business speakers in the U.S. And she sits with us for about 40 minutes, and we discuss 2017 and what's going on. So that'll be released next Wednesday.
Good, upbeat. Oh, and Garrett said we got a call
between Christmas and New Year's.
That was a signal. The phone goes
up. Call? The phone's out. Who do we have on the line?
Hey, it's Billy. What's up, guys? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Billy, Merry Christmas. How you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm ready for it. John, make sure next year I call in and tell you about the local UF story here. We will have a good one for you.
The local UFO story?
Pine Bush, New York.
Oh, all right, Billy. My curiosity's piqued.
Yeah, Google it, and I'll call in the new year and let you know what it really was.
Pine Bush.
I'm writing it down now.
I like the name.
I saw your friend got the Studebaker up and running finally, right?
Yes, he has no heat in it, but we're working on that, and we'll be all over Torrington and Harwington and, your old stomping ground.
I love when an old car goes by. They're beautiful. And when they're restored and they're running, they look beautiful. I mean, these are the great old cars, right? Billy, have a really great Christmas, and thank you for being a part of the show.
All right, Happy New Year. I'll catch you next year.
Thank you.
So, and as we said, after Kelly, then John and I obviously will be back here on January 3rd with a live show, but John and I will sometime in mid-January, but if you follow along with us on our
part of our audio
Facebook page, as part of our audio feed, if you're already listening through SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts, the show will debut there. It's going to be a quick, John thinks 25 minutes?
Yeah, 25 minutes.
Kind of a rant and rave from us, a little bit unbuttoned maybe.
A little more like when you and I were guest hosting DNR.
Yeah.
Just a little more just you and I having a conversation.
Unencumbered by sponsors.
Well.
So,
let's not go there yet.
But we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I know some people just finished up Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. Thanks to John and Garrett and Allie for sailing us through.
Thank you, guys. We love you. You guys are great.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Tim.
And thanks to our partners here on the Focus Group. Thanks to our folks this month, Mangrate. Be sure to go to mangrate.com, 50% off right now. Also, deep discount. There's some great prices, probably some of the better prices you'll find on anything. And John listed earlier all the different categories they have beyond DVDs and movies, but some great stuff at deep discount. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com and click on the logo so we get credit. And then, of course, we would not be here for the last 7 years. Going into our 8th year with Volkswagen of America, head over to VW.com. There's some great sign and drive deals going on right now. I'm still trying to convince John to let me get the new Tiguan, but we still have to talk about that. Money's tight. So anyway,
money's tight.
Have a great and safe holiday, and we'll catch you in January.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM satellite radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.